Hello, everybody. Welcome. It is December 21st, 2022. I joke about this being the worst day of the year. It's only a joke because it is the shortest amount of sunlight and the longest night. So it is definitely a challenging time. Here, I don't have my structured water. I have beautiful green juice today. Here's to light in dark times. Make it through today. And then it only gets better. Wait, I should definitely drink. Only gets better. And Chiki and I actually just went out for a wonderful, good exercise so that we don't have any pressure. We can take as long as we need to on class today. We don't have to hurry outside to be able to, like I say, WALK someone. Okay, so let's get going. First of all, thank you so much. This is level 2, lesson 7. And this one is about Advanced Merkaba. So I recorded the lessons initially in 2013, and then I recorded this one in 2014 in order to augment and clarify some questions that people had, and also to really give an advanced teaching about Merkaba because it is something that is a tool that can be used. And let me just grab it for us. I knew I would jump up at least once. I do this at least once during class to grab some sculpture that's somewhere. So yeah, the advanced teaching of what this is, because it is a tool or an energy apparatus. What is the best way to be able to describe this? There we go. So this is like a little obsidian one, maybe a little bit difficult to be able to see it on camera. So first of all, the lovely commenter who often talks about this shape and some other polygons named Elron in the comments. So Elron, if you're watching, shout out to you. And also he or she, they often talk about how we see this balanced on its point, like, I love this phrase, a corpulent ballerina. Not that ballerinas have to have a particular body shape, but balanced like a ballerina. And then, but that they relate to it more fully as a square. And that is actually one of the aspects of this shape, that it is actually more closely related to a square. I know that, or a cube. I know that many people have negative connotations. I'll also jump up to get my sculpture over here. Negative connotations between cubes, Saturn's cubes, and things that are imprisonment structures and other negative things. But I will tell you, I'll just hold this up for us. The Merkaba absolutely relates to the chakra system. These two things can be interrelated very beautifully. Most of my work has to do with curvilinear lines, circles, spheres, sine curves, which are also S waves, and other things that do not involve straight lines. And of course, the Merkaba, hold it against the background where you can kind of see it here, clear, or star tetrahedron is another good name for this shape, clearly does involve straight lines. And so the first thing is, let's just talk briefly about what would be considered visual math. I knew I would do a lot of whiteboarding today, so that's why I had to make sure I got my magic pen. Hold on, just pressing buttons. It's clearly pressing buttons in confusion. Thank you for your patience. And then, okay, good. Visual math. Half of a circle like this plus a half of a circle like this. Wait, I should put a tiny plus sign here. Plus equals a neutral line. Let me close this out. I do this every time. Equals one line. So the forcefulness of this collapses this way, the forcefulness of this collapses this way, and what you end up getting is this line over here. So if you see something like the Merkaba shape that is essentially made out of straight lines, what you're actually seeing is the end result of, there is a circle that's up like this and a circle that is down like this, that is collapsing into this neutral straight line over here. And same thing with this over here and this over here. So you actually have many overlapping multiple spheres, and that is where actually all of our straight-sided polygons actually come from. Okay, centering ourselves and getting ready. Like, we literally just walked in the door from a beautiful long walk. Merkaba means light body vessel. All of the information that I'm giving to you right now actually comes to us by way of the ancient Egyptian mystery schools, as they knew about the flower of life or the seed of life, and also the Merkaba shape, but was held in trust from the ancient world or mythological world, concurrent world, trying to get my lighting better here, that is known as Atlantis. So I joke about that too, that here in this time place, when you know, a little child is growing up, we teach them something like, you know, here's how you tie your shoes, or you know, some basic life skill like that. The Merkaba is absolutely basic life skill for having an energy body, having a light body, and living in that world of, and perceiving and navigating the world of energy. So as I was saying, this is a wonderful and amazing, I could call it a tool or an apparatus. It is an energy field, so it is not a type of physical technological tool like this. And it is something that was used in the ancient or concurrent world before death was invented, before the changing and diminishing of the human genetic structure. And it can be used in 3 basic ways. So I will always link to the video that I have on this, and I'll share the video with you right now. So there's a separate an animation that I did with David Lear, who's a perennial student in the class, but he's not here this particular semester, where he put me in touch with a animator. So I was a facilitator. So I drew the storyboard, and then the animator actually did the animation for this. So that standalone video that's on YouTube that I will link to has a voiceover and talks about these 3 basics, just a very beginner lesson on what the Merkaba is. The first thing is, well, let's go to a picture of it. Instead of me and my flapping, moving mouth parts, let's go to a picture. Wait, I have to X things out. Hold on a second. I always say, like, I'm not going to squint and scroll during class, but I'm squinting and scrolling. No, just trying to get to the right screen. Hooray, I'm on the right screen. Thank you for your understanding, everyone. Okay, good. This is the animation that you will see, and I'm just going to roll through it super fast so that first we can see what the shape is. It's going to start off with a human anthropomorphic figure sitting here, and then we're going to start off with one upward facing tetrahedron. A tetrahedron is a pyramid that is made out of 4 equilateral triangles. Tetra, the prefix, means 4, and equilateral triangles means that they are equal on all sides. And this is different than the Great Pyramid at Giza in Egypt, which might be known as like the most famous pyramid in our culture, that has a square base. So this pyramid does not have a square base. It actually has a triangular base. And I will also sit for you and show you how I perform this and how I embody this. When you sit in this position with your body, your legs and your spine naturally make a triangular base. So it is very positive to start off in this way. Here, let me also just move the animation forward a little bit. There we go. So because actually that is the starting position, where I hope you can see my cursor wiggling. You have a flat face in front of you. That kind of would be the connecting point between your 2 knees. Then you have a face that goes back along one thigh, a face that goes back along the other thigh, and then you can see back behind you, there's a vertex that points outward back from the base of your spine. All right, this is important energetic anatomy that we are learning about here. And then the next part of the star tetrahedron or Merkaba shape, and this is already showing the pyramid rotating, even though I'll teach you first to just envision it. We also have the complementary pyramid, which has a downward facing vertex. So the point, math talk, vertex means a point, like where I'm wiggling my cursor. And this also has a vertex that points outward from somewhere between underneath your chin to the center of your heart. So it could be kind of in your neck, in your throat area. I envision it as coming outward from my heart. And I will teach you this also when I demonstrate it for you. And that, so with, depending upon what gender you are or how you use the vehicle of your body, I make mine go for, I'm in a female body. The one that sticks out from my heart, I spin around to the left. The one that sticks out from the base of my spine, I spin around to the right. I'm going over this fast. I will get this all going for you in more details. But I wanted to show you that this is the basic shape. This is how you fit inside of the basic shape, although you can make an even smaller form of this Merkaba around, let's say, just around your head, or just around your pineal gland, or just around any body part that you want to protect, or just even around your cellular structure. And I have developed at this point like an incredibly extensive interwoven series of Merkabas, or maybe you would call them Merkabim, of protective energy fields. So this is the basic shape of it. It is not a static object. It does rotate. These are actually counter-rotating energy fields, or they rotate in complementary directions. So one of them spins to the right, one of them spins to the left, but you might have to figure out which way is the most comfortable for you. And it has three basic ways of utilization, or applications is a good way of saying it. Three basic applications. One is, let me just drink a little wonderful green juice here. Basic energetic immune system. As your physical immune system is also a like a filter that keeps out certain pathogenic microbes, but allows in and allows to remain positive, helpful, and symbiotic microbes. So for example, in your gut bacteria, lactobacillus, that's a friend. Your body had to learn that as a tiny infant. Like, lactobacillus is my friend. It helps me to digest my mother's milk. But let's say like amoebas that cause amoebic dysentery, not your friend. Amoebas have to go. And your immune system has to learn about this. So this Merkaba shape, Merkaba again means light body vessel. And the ka and the ba, these are words that are in reference to the culture of ancient Egypt, referring to layers of your non-physicality or your spirit or your soul. You don't have to get exactly into that, because again, that civilization held the vestigial traces of ancient / concurrent Atlantis. So these syllables come to us, even though they have been imbued with additional layers of meaning and symbology beyond the original intended phoneme. But just know that the words and the sounds are very ancient. Light, body, vessel. So this is essentially your car, and Trish is the lovely member and participant of this class and many of the classes that I do, who lives in the Middle East. And she says, yes, on their driver's license, it actually says Merkaba, like vehicle. This is literally your vehicle for getting places. So the most primary form of this is as an energetic immune system, that when you start to get these force fields envisioned around you, and then in their counter-rotating forms, like going like this, what you're creating is an energy force field that allows to enter into you and to interact with you, energy that would be considered sustenance. Let me move back a little bit. Positive, sustenance, coherence, longevity, all of the stuff that you want. Like lactobacillus is my friend. It helps me to get stay alive and digest my food. Same thing with certain events and energies and thought patterns that you're like, I want that energy to come inside of me. So as you put up this Merkaba force field, the Merkaba allows everything that is love tone and greater, and even more nourishing than the basic love sustenance energy, allows that to enter into you and interact with you at the same time that the facets, the rotating facets of the energy field around you, reflect away what would be considered errant signals, stuff that is static on the line or crappity crapola, pardon my loose language there, or things that are non-informative, and that disinformation, non-information, nonsense, illusion, and things that could be considered pernicious, corrosive, and harmful or misleading or imbalancing, things that do not lead you towards coherence, sound waves that stick together, and longevity, staying alive. And so you can understand this was one of the very, very first things that was taught to young people, to new life, to new experiencers of the physical manifestation world in ancient Atlantis, just like you have to learn, whatever, how to put on your shoes and tie your shoes, how to zip up your jacket, like, basic aspects of caring for yourself in the world. And that is also how we should look at this. Like, this is a very basic energy requirement for then being able to matriculate and go on to higher levels of consciousness exploration, which I'm certain that you all will do, like for levels of maturity. So the very first level that you think about and master is Merkaba as energy immune system, protective and nourishing force field. So I say protective because it is like an energetic armor. It does keep out things that we do not wish to come into us and interact with us, including time events, but it does allow in the things that we do wish to come inside of us. So the second aspect of it is as a wish-making tool or apparatus, for lack of a better word, because I don't actually want this to be exploitive. Let me drink a little bit more. This is this wonderful green juice that has like nettle, alfalfa, clover, and other good stuff in here. I don't want this to be an exploitive teaching. And I tell you, so every night or a day before I do my class, like I always check back in with my classes that I recorded 10 years ago. I rewatch them. So I was rewatching some that I had recorded yesterday and the day before. It's on YouTube, and it was actually perfect because there's some advertisements that come up before my videos, and this one was for a particular school of manifestation, like particular self-cultivation school of thought, or like online series that is all about like how to harness your mental powers, right? So because the advertising is specific to the subject matter that I have in my videos. And I thought, how perfect. Like I actually listened to the advertisement instead of skipping over it. And it actually gave me a lot that I realized I needed to speak about, because I didn't want to, in this class or ever, present the star tetrahedron Merkaba shape as something that is merely a tool to utilize, something that is of benefit to you, something that is a dead inert thing, or something that you can use to exploit the world around you or exploit the rules of the world around you. So first of all, this is a living force field, as your immune system is a living force field, that it is all about love, which I teach you what is love. You don't sing that disco song, I'm telling you, it will get stuck in your head. Love is a rapport or a reciprocal sharing of equal amounts of energy. I send out energy and I receive energy, and that rapport that is created is literally the love tone. And when you're in love, you can be in love with time as an abstraction. You can be in love with the planetary structure. You can be in love with the sun and the stars out my window. You can be in love with the little tiny dog. You can be in love with the blade of grass. So this type of love is not necessarily a romantic human procreative partnership. The love is about equal sharing, and definitely the value system of non-exploitation. As I've spoken about this too, recognized that in human social dynamics, sometimes, often, romantic rapport and procreative, activities and intimacies are often out of balance, where one person is experiencing pleasure or self-gratification and the other person might be experiencing distress or discomfort, or not the same levels of pleasure. And that is also the same in business dealings and other places too, a sense of exploitation and imbalance. This is not that. So I have to relate you to that and to what you might be familiar with, because that's the cultural paradigm that I'm speaking to people through. But I come from a different place where all that there is this love and beautiful reciprocity and rapport, where I wouldn't even have to say that. But over the years of being here, I've had to learn, like, I'm going to have to speak to this. So back to referring to this advertisement that was on before my own video that I watched instead of skipping over. That's, for like the blah, blah method of being able to make your wishes come true, essentially. Because the Merkaba is a wish-making, not machine or apparatus, but amazing force field or infrastructure. But it is not merely about me, and everything that I want. It's not just about you. It is about you within the larger context. And I talk about this a lot. The lessons that we learn here in embodiment now, one of the primary lessons being about individual responsibility to myself as an individual versus, or in contrast, complementary contrast to my responsibilities to my ecosystem and my community around me. So like, I want food for me, but not at the expense of the entire ecosystem. Like, I want to have enough, whatever, apples to eat for me. But if I ate every single apple and every single apple tree that was ever in existence, you would have no seeds and no cuttings for the apples for next year. That would therefore be not appropriate in terms of, I would be overusing and exploiting the ecosystem. And that's true of everything in the world, social dynamics, economic dynamics, every type of relationship, energy, interplay with the world. Like, people that are smart hunter-gatherers know this, like, you have to take some, but then you have to leave some as seeds for the future. And with other people, you can be like, I'll take $5 from you, but I won't take your whole entire bank account, because then you will be homeless, and left whatever, without your own resources that you need for yourself. So the teaching blah blah method was basically all about, like, how to win a contest, winning the lottery or something like that. And of course, in a pristine system, like, yes, you can apply your mental energy. It could be a game of poker. It could be the lottery. It could be something where there is bingo. You can use these, honey, girl, you can use the Merkaba to win at bingo. But I'm laughing. I mean, I'm being very facetious in my voice and my everything. I hope you can tell about that, because this is like a sacred, magical tool that you should be using for much higher, more sophisticated, more cosmically aligned purposes than merely to win at bingo. Winning at bingo, which might make your ego feel better, like, hooray, like, I'm awesome, or might give you more money, like, or winning at poker or any kind of thing like that. This is more than just a doorway to practicality or to self-aggrandizement. This is so the mastery, the use and mastery of this shape necessarily requires greater levels of maturity inside, and that is the direction that I truly teach from. So this is also why, like, I've thought about making this a standalone class, but I actually like very much that these teachings are embedded within the entirety of the value system that I'm always trying to share and teach and exemplify with you about responsibility to the context of time, not merely doing things that you consider to be fun or happy or convenient for you. Another way of thinking about it, even though I'm not that much of a devotee of the Star Wars oeuvre, I know a little bit about it and the idea of the Jedi, and the Jedi have these special mind powers, but you're supposed, with great power comes great responsibility, right? And you're supposed to use the Jedi mind powers only for certain noble things, not for just like winning at cards. Or what if you could, here's another thing that you should not use your Jedi mind powers for. What if you could influence somebody else's mind, like put them in your thrall, and then be like, you do what I want you to do. You could be like my love slave, or you could go out and you could do violence for me, or you could whatever, be a part of my sales team or whatever, like, you're a part of my sales team, go out and make a lot of sales and I will earn all the money. We would not want to use Jedi mind power in order to do something that is so materialistic, petty, and definitely not to do something that is against consent. Like, all of this power of this and even higher must be used with consent. So it's very different. If somebody wants to work for you as part of your workforce and be part of your sales force, that's very, very different. There's consent. If somebody wants to be your sexual partner, that's consent. If somebody wants to do something that involves sharing or dynamics and energy, social, psychological dynamics or anything like that, and there's consent, that's different. But that's very, very, there's a very unpleasant line, the sense like, okay, if I'm going to sit down at a poker table with someone else and I'm going to use my Jedi mind tricks, not only to read someone else's mind, but what if I influence their behavior? What if I not only know, like, oh, like they've got a good or a bad hand, I not only can tell what their hand is, what if I influence them about how much they're going to bet, or whether they do a good job or whether they don't do a good job, or anything? Golf. What if I'm watching my golf opponent and I influence them to like cringe at the wrong moment, and their golf ball goes in the wrong direction? Any of these things, that would be considered like like the lowest, worst, most inappropriate, most inappropriate is the word, use of these powers, and that those powers would kind of shrink away. They would be kind of like, oh, like, I don't like being, this feels yucky. I cringe away from myself. I don't actually want to be used in this way. So to speak in positives, and I don't want to dump all over whatever the blah, blah system of, mind cultivation that was advertised before one of my videos, because I really got the sense that it could be powerful and uplifting stuff for certain people at a certain level of development, but that you must move beyond it. So some of the stories that people shared were about winning contests, making more sales, reaching their sales goals at work, finding, romantic partners or other things like that. And those are definitely the desires and requirements of like a beginner. Like that's the Barbie dream house. That's like what you wish for when you're like a little tiny child, is what I'm trying to say. Like you wish for a fancy dollhouse when you're a little tiny child. But then when you get to greater levels of maturity, you're like, something, I don't want a plastic Barbie dream house. I actually want an entire world that has justice and equity and fairness and consent and reciprocal rapport, which is love. And that is a much larger dream house that involves actually a lot more wealth than merely building like a fancy building. You can build a fancy building and still live in it just like a complete garbage heap of a world. That is, we don't want to have just a fancy building. We want to have a completely positively restructured social, psychological, emotional, and economic dynamic, positive ecosystem of the way that things are shared. Okay, so because that's how I teach about all of this. All of that being said, the Merkaba is a wish-making tool. It is different. Let me grab this. I always duck off camera for everything. Different than the Flying Rainbow Lasagna as a reality restructuring tool. So this dance has to do with changing the movement behavior of your DNA and rewriting and rearranging the events of time. The wish-making aspect of the star tetrahedron has to do with intention and definitely influencing reality. And the idea is that what you're doing is in a balanced partnership, because I keep holding this thing up and we'll go to the picture again. You have a downward facing triangle and an upward facing triangle. So as I gesture with my hands, the upward facing triangle is often defined as male or male energy, even though I think it might be time for us culturally in this milieu context to throw male and female out the window, not because I wish to dishonor like your biological truths or anything like that, but just because many things that are defined as like a male characteristic can also be female characteristics in an equitable society. Let me just drink. So if being authoritative is considered to be or direct, a male characteristic from like 200 years ago, because women were supposed to be like I hide behind my fan and I bat my eyes at you. Like women are not supposed to be like, hello, my name is Aurora, this is what I would like, so women were supposed to be subtle and flirty and not say exactly what they wanted, but men were supposed to come forward and say, I'm a man and this is exactly what I want. But that's an outdated cultural paradigm, clearly, where here now, if you are a woman, or whoever you are, who or whatever you are, you should be able to come forward with your voice and to be able to advocate for yourself and speak your truth and ask for what you want within the bounds of cultural propriety, that we don't necessarily have this bifurcation or caste system anymore. And so this goes between genders, male, female roles, and also caste system of society, how wealthy you are, and even things that have to do with appearance, race, and skin color. All right. All of these things, like throw them out the window. But traditionally, the upward pointing pyramid is determined as male energy, but let's call it like authoritative or direct energy. And in that aspect of the wish-making apparatus, you put specific desires. You're like, hi, he's standing here in front, hi, Cosmos. I'm standing here, or hi, God, I'm standing here in front of you, and I'm asking for this very specific thing. So I always use in my lighthearted example, ice cream. Like I want to have a particular flavor of ice cream. Like I want coconut ice cream, and I want to have it in a blue dish, and I want to eat it with a particular spoon that I have that I like, that has whatever, like a flower on the handle, and I want to have it on Tuesday. And then there is the downward facing pyramid. And the downward facing pyramid is literally shaped like a cup or a chalice. So you can think of it as a receptive receptacle. Again, this is traditionally seen as analogous to female anatomy, analogous to female receptivity, and also female social dynamics, as it goes all the way back to the ancient Hebrew Torah, original Old Testament Bible, the sense of like, you will be submissive to your husband, and you will listen well, woman, and you will like know your place in the world. So again, like, these are very outdated cultural paradigms and definitions of what it is to be a female, as females can certainly have direct communication, directly express their desires, and not merely have to be receptive to the whims of those who are around them. The idea of receptivity, though, should not be analogous to passivity, that these should be seen as two balances. So battle of the genders out the window, disrespect and disequality to one or the other out the window. And now we are in true cosmic lovemaking modality here, where this is about giving and receiving. The love tone is literally about a balance of giving and receiving. So you are here in this embodied state, and you are here to give, and you are also here to receive. And the proper use of your wish-making capacity is to have a balance of those two things. And this extends and extrapolates outward to everything that you do in your life. So when I talk about using your Merkaba to create a wish, it's like creating a small subroutine within the much, much larger quote unquote computer program, I'm not a transhumanist, of your life. So you have a whole entire arc of 100 years, if you're lucky, of all of these things that are happening. And within that 100 years, much of it is divinely directed or directed by a much higher intelligence. As you are growing and learning and stepping into your power, you will want to start to become a conscious co-creator with that larger, higher intelligence. And you might create a smaller subroutine. That's about ice cream. That's about saying, on this particular day, I'm requesting this particular thing from the cosmos or from God or from the divine presence that incepted the world, creates matter, creates energy, creates your consciousness, upholds everything. It's like, thank you for everything that you do for me and for creating the world. And also, can I please have a bowl of ice cream too? And I want it to be in this specific flavor and on this specific day. The receptive part of the Merkaba and of wish making and reality creation is absolutely crucial, because sometimes there is something greater that is waiting for you, or mandated or ordained for you, greater than you can know about, greater than you can expect, greater than you know what to wish for. So I actually used to attend a very beautiful sweat lodge, or Inipi Lodge, that was in upstate New York, that was run by someone who just will send out blessings to them very much. They're still alive on earth. And I learned a lot from going to that lodge and having these experiences all the time. And one of the things was said inside of there that I will share with you, that something that I feel comfortable sharing publicly, that is, sometimes when you ask for something from God or from the universe or the cosmos, the answer isn't no. Sometimes it's not yet. Because you're like, so you go into the sweat lodge sometimes to like sweat your prayers and ask for things that you need. And then sometimes the answer isn't no, it's not yet. But sometimes the answer is, I'm getting chills as I tell you this, I have something greater in mind for you. That is really what God, the divine presence, or the creator, is really answering you with. So sometimes you ask for a bowl of coconut ice cream and you don't get it. And instead of being like this, my shoulders go down, I'm very, very sad, did not get my coconut ice cream. Sometimes put your shoulders back. The answer is that I have something greater for you, that there is something even better. So another good analogy is like the chef's choice. When you go into an amazing restaurant, you can order off the menu. There are things that they always have. They always have the rack of lamb. They always have the pizza margherita. You know that you can order those things, but sometimes there is the chef's special of the day, the freshest thing, the most seasonal produce, and something that is not always available. And when you go in there and you ask for the chef's special, you are in a sense giving over your trust to the expertise of the chef that has, successfully run this restaurant. The restaurant is the universe. for many millions of years and be like, I put my trust in you. I am certain that everything that you make is going to be delectable and that you're able to be receptive to something that can be even greater than you imagined because you didn't know it was actually whatever fillet of cod because that was in season and there was a lot of it and it's done to perfection. It's the freshest thing that's on the menu. So the receptivity part of the Merkaba is absolutely crucial, where you put into that aspect of the Merkaba and of your desire, your structured desire, an openness to something that is fulfilling. Like I'm wishing for ice cream. I'm like, I'm kind of hungry, but I'm also recreationally hungry. Like I'm not starving. And I want something that's kind of like cold and refreshing. Maybe it's a hot day outside. I want something that's cold and refreshing, or that particular feeling of like, like how it kind of like slides down your throat. Like there are like feeling states that you're looking for. And part of it is also the positive association that you have. Like when you're a child, ice cream is the reward. You're like, I want a reward. I want something that's like fun food. I want something that is amazing. And you think that it's going to be a particular flavor, but you might be very, very surprised. So when you press run on this program, so the basics of doing Merkaba for wish making, and I'll go into the mechanics of it. I'm looking at my time to make sure I have enough time, even though I'm not time pressured today at all. It's just a habit. What you do is you put specific desires in the upward facing pyramid. How do you put specific desires into something, Aurora? The answer is, and I do this so naturally that I had to actually rewatch the lesson to be able to make sure that I articulate this. So when you sit and you envision this pyramid around you, and you envision this pyramid that's kind of going down to the center of the earth also, you breathe in. And as you're breathing in, you're filling with light, just like glug, 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 filling this with some wonderful, super hearty green juice, filling with light these apparatus structures and putting your desires into them. You can vocalize or sub-vocalize your desires, like think in your mind, like, I want ice cream. Or you don't have to vocalize it. You can envision it. You can feel it. Most of our passion is deeply felt, not even said with words. Words are like way back down the hierarchy of how this is expressed. Mostly our deepest passions and deeply held beliefs and desires mostly are not surface level, easily verbalized with words and phonetic sound structures. But you put that intention into the pyramid, and you also put the intention of receptivity into the lower pyramid. You're like, I would be happy and fulfilled if I had something that was cold, creamy, fun, dessert. And then what you do is you press run, which is getting these two energy fields rotating. And it's also important because you're practicing this as a subroutine within the much larger routine of your life to have a very clearly defined parameters, clearly defined beginning, press run, and clearly defined end, because these are ways for you to begin the exploration of reality creation. Spoiler alert, you're God, and you are remembering yourself as God self, and you are remembering yourself as this totally powerful, empowered creator that literally made all of this and sustains all of this. But you are working on, let's say, a small knitting project. You're like, I don't even really know how to do stuff right now. I'm figuring it out, or re-remembering or rediscovering myself. So your knitting project is like putting together a little something in reality, where you're going to think about something that you want, put those desires out there, and then see what you get back. And this is part of the fine-tuning process. It is also part of the process of soul cultivation and maturity, because I often share, and I can share after class today, the clips reel of my own faux pas, of all of the things that when I was, because, I'm here in this materialistic world as Aurora on this occasion. Like I've lived in a material body at another time when we ate pure sunlight. So being here now, there's a steep learning curve. I know how to do the Merkaba in this time place. I had adventures. I had didactic adventures about making things happen that had somewhat slightly ironic misfulfillment. As people know my joke, the turkey is a little dry. Like you wished for a turkey sandwich and you got it, but the turkey was a little dry. But mostly I attribute that to learning experiences in the cosmos, because I did have some attitude. that I was a little bit attitude, like, you know, when you're a beginning driver with your learner's permit, like, don't drive angry, you know, like really respect the rules of the road. You don't own the road, and be accommodative of the rest of everything. So I was a little bit attitude about me, and what I wanted for me. And then I got ironic missed fulfillment, and I was like, okay, I should probably like have an attitude adjustment. Like, I learned the lesson, have an attitude adjustment, ask in a nicer, different, better way. And that was also like when I had only been here on earth a couple of years, but also mostly the woundedness of why my wish went the way it did, because I wished for just like a pile of cash to fall in my lap. That was what it, and we'll talk about this after class. But so yeah, I'm like, one day I was just like, I'm tired of being a starving artist, because, you know, I'd been here for like maybe 5 or 6 years, and that was what the extent of my life, my social milieu and my life experience was being a starving artist and being rather like not having access to a lot of resources. And I was like, I'm just gonna Merkaba this and fix this right up. And I just imagined like a giant pile of cash like falling into my lap. And I will share with you after class, it happened, but in ironic misfulfillment. No, nothing was harmed in the creation of this Merkaba didactic lesson. But I certainly learned about the ways in which to ask what is respectful, what is non-exploitive, what did I really want? What I really wanted was freedom and, you know, the capacity to go places and do things and utilize things that get things that I needed, not necessarily just the abstraction of having a lot of money. So that's the answer for all of these things. Like, sometimes you can get the thing that you're wishing for, like, I really want that thing, but that thing ends up not really being what you need, because you need to actually have a different change in your life. So that the advertisement that I watched before my lesson, my own lesson, like the advertisement for this school of manifesting and everything, it really was geared towards people that are just in the beginning of their exploration of themselves and self-remembrance as God, where they might want to be, I want to manifest the ideal boyfriend or girlfriend, or increase my sales at work, or be able to win the lottery, or any of those things. Mostly they are materialistic desires, even though I know romantic love is not a materialistic desire, but that is mostly the desire for the elevated social status that comes, and sense of fulfillment that comes with having the right partner, spouse, or lover, or boyfriend, or person that you're waking up with in your bed. And that these are all ways of making the ego feel better. And that, so what most people at that level of personal development are wishing for is, they're like, I wish for my ego to feel better. I wish to feel better about myself. So this is all, there's no right and there's no wrong. That's why I'm not pointing the finger at all, but there is this sense of learning and growing. So I had been here on earth for like 5 or 6 years, and definitely had the mentality of like a very young person that, and then it took me more years and more perspective, basically. I had to also travel a little bit and get a little bit of a better perspective on what life is really like here in this world, and how do many different people live in different communities, and then to have a different sense of appropriateness of resources and social dynamics, and where we get our money from, and what we do for our money, and all these different things. I'm squinting at I will get to your beautiful comments, because I don't want to roll past them by going too fast. But so the idea is that by making these wishes and being in partnership with the cosmos, you learn and you grow, and you have minor corrections, not like terrible catastrophe crashes, where you learn like, oh, like there's a better way to do this. Oh, there's a more respectful way to do this. Oh, I am actually wishing for this, not actually wishing for this. And then you get your course correction. And with each experimentation that you do with your Merkaba, you learn more about yourself, and you learn more about the context that you're within, until you are ready to get up to the third level of expertise of the Merkaba, which is actually for interdimensional travel. And I will not gloss over that. I will go directly to that in terms of, oh, how interesting. Okay, let me just mute someone. There we go. All right, because that was kind of like a car sound that was so interesting as I was reaching for something, kind of like let's get in our car and go, guys. So I'm going to use my fancy, wonderful cardboard examples here that I've used for many, many classes, and make sure that I get through that. The third thing that you can do in terms of the Merkaba as an empowerment tool in your lovemaking with the cosmos is to go into different reality structures. So to use it to travel to different reality structures. So wait, before I go to the video, one way of thinking about this is to say, I want ice cream. Hey, God, I want some ice cream. And like you and God are going to be in partnership and you're going to use your imagination. You're going to make that ice cream happen or pop into being. Another way of thinking about it is that what you want to do is get into your Merkaba vehicle and you want to travel interdimensionally to a slightly different timeline or version of reality that is almost exactly the same as the reality that you're presently in, except in that reality, you have ice cream. It contains ice cream for you. That is really the only visible change, and that's also an acceptable way of looking at things. So on one way of looking at the world, you're like, I'm on this timeline, and all of a sudden, boom, like here is the ice cream in front of me. I made it, or God made it, or someone made it. But another way of thinking about this is the ice cream exists over here, like on a slightly parallel time adventure area. And then what I need to do is get into my car, get into my Merkaba, turn the ignition, and drive over to here, where I will then have that bowl of ice cream sitting in front of me. So these are both valid perceptions or cosmologies to look at the world. So the third way of considering or utilizing the Merkaba is for interdimensional travel. And when we do that, the Merkaba, which is star tetrahedron, again, tetra means 4, becomes octa, and octa means 8. You guys know an octopus has 8 arms. So we start off with, and also let's do math. No, Aurora, we hate math and we're running out of the room right now. No, guys, don't run away. This is cool math. 4 plus 4 equals 8. Here you have one pyramid that faces downward. It has 4 sides. One pyramid that faces upward. It has 4 sides. So you have 8 sides to your star tetrahedron here. When you do this reality rearranging exercise that involves changing your perception, you turn it into an octahedron. You don't add or remove anything, but what you do is you rearrange your facets and you get to the point where this becomes an octahedron, and that is that shape there. So wait, now let me stop. And then as always, I'm going to jump up. Let me jump up. And I have my other crystal over here, because you would think like, Aurora, like, you know, you're going to have your class. Like, do you think you can get everything off of the shelf before class? No, the answer is no. I have to jump up in the middle of class in order to get these things. So this is, again, a tiny crystal. Let's see if I can do it for us here. If I can hold it up to the camera in a good way. And I sometimes, you have to go like kind of like behind this so that focuses properly. I'm driving you crazy. Can you actually see it? Maybe we can see it, maybe we can't see it. Ah, now you can see it. So this is an octahedron. It actually, you can see it, that has a square base pyramid plus square base pyramid gets together to create an octahedron. So how do we go from tetra to octa? The way that we do this is very similar to an optical illusion. Hold on, I'll squint and scroll. I should have also prepared this, but my excuse was that I was out giving someone a WALK, and that made it possible for us to be able to do as much sharing as we want to after class today. So it was worth it. And let me just squint and scroll. There we go. Because I knew that the picture would be right here. I have to squint and scroll. There, good. And now I have to share screen. So then I have to press another button. But it's going to be worth it, and you're going to love it. It was right here. Well, before, you know something, like sometimes life is a little bit of a challenge. I'm just going to press cancel. No, I don't know what I'm doing here, guys. That's not what I wanted. Oh, Rainbow Body is here. Good. But what I really wanted to do now I have to go stop share. Now I have to go back to here, because I know I'm driving you crazy, but I just had this thing. I just had it. Oh my goodness. Class lectures. I'm telling you, it's right here. And I double clicked on it. I promise I double clicked on it and I did the right thing. Okay. Thank you for your patience. That's it. That's what I tried to do. Good. Okay. Now, hopefully Put it in your Merkaba that this will work, everyone. Okay, good. Hooray. Okay, so this is what I wanted to show you. This is a famous optical illusion. And this optical illusion, if you look at it one way, it looks like a young woman who is kind of turning away from the camera, and you kind of see her jawline, and she has a feather sticking up from her, the like top of her hat, like an 1800s hat. If you look at it in another way, it looks like an old woman kind of wearing a babushka, and maybe she doesn't, have her dentures in. And the like, just stare at it for a moment, do the thing, flip back and forth, old woman, young woman, old woman, young woman. It's the same exact lines on the page. Page has not been rearranged. I'm not taking it, cutting it, changing it, shifting it in any way, but it is your perception that is rearranging the same exact information that is on your screen there, okay? When we switch from tetra to octa, we are doing exactly the same thing. We are rearranging reality with our perception, but it's not like I didn't take a piece of, I didn't cut the paper, I didn't take a eraser and erase it away. Hey, Rainbow Body, good to see you. I'm so happy you popped in for us. I didn't do any rearranging other than the inner rearranging. That is the greatest lesson I can share with you on this. And that is absolutely everything about the value system that I share with you as I teach you this. We are really reaching into, with our exploration of the advanced uses of the Merkaba, levels of inner mastery. That is what I talk about in referencing the Jedi tradition also, the sense of inner mastery, not merely rearranging external reality for your own personal conveniences, but doing it as part of the musical score of the cosmos, for very essential purposes. And then when it is time for you to travel interdimensionally, what you do is you rearrange yourself on a both cellular or somatic level. Cells of your body rearrange, your energy field rearranges, and your consciousness and your perception rearranges. So the change from looking at a picture that is a young woman or old woman, it's a change of your perspective or your interpretation of the information of reality. When you travel interdimensionally as in a Merkaba, by going from star tetrahedron to octahedron, what you're doing is changing your inner perception. And this has everything to do with rearranging your body. Today, I'm not drinking my structured water, but ordinarily I drink structured water. And that also has everything to do with rearranging your body, that the structured water helps you to be more like a crystalline structure. So let's also do the states of matter. It's not states of matter, but different qualities of matter. Like when we look at carbon and the molecule that is known as carbon, the atom that is known as carbon, and the atomic structure of many carbon atoms coming together. You can have carbon atoms that come together in no organizational pattern. And that is pretty much what coal, like charcoal, is. And anybody who's an artist who's ever worked with charcoal, like it's very black, it's very smeary, it's very crumbly, and no light passes through it. And then up from there, I never have a pencil around when I need it. But when you arrange carbon molecules into kind of like flat, organized, regular plates that are kind of like flat sheets like this, you get graphite. So pencil lead. And that is a slightly more organized form of the molecule that is known as carbon. And then if you organize that to even greater levels of crystalline matrix, you end up with a diamond. And let's pretend this is a diamond, even though clearly this is not. This is a beautiful crystal that is of wonderful value, but it's made out of quartz, so it doesn't have the same cultural value as a diamond. I wouldn't just leave a diamond sitting around like this in my house. But imagine that this is a diamond. The diamond is the same molecules as regular carbon charcoal, but arranged differently. This relates to you and your body. The Tibetans, the ancient Eastern Asian people, I call it Eastern, but people who are watching me who are in Singapore, for you, it would just be your neighborhood. That's why these cultural paradigms, just everything breaks down. It doesn't make sense anymore. But from my perspective in North America, it is often called the masters of the Far East. So the Asian masters that would achieve a body that is known as the diamond body. Vajrayana, the Vajrayana body that is supremely hard, indestructible. And what do we know that's the difference between pencil lead and charcoal and a diamond? Light passes through a diamond. This is translucent. Light passes through it. So you can see like it has a little bit of its own coloring, but then you can also see the color of whatever is behind it. Light passes through it. It is translucent. When you become a diamond body, light passes through you instead of being an opaque object that light kind of goes into and then just kind of gets stuck. Light passes through you. It circulates through you, and then you are translucent. It goes and continues on its journey. So that relates to the rearranging process of your cellular structure becoming a crystalline, Christ-centered, crystalline, structured being on a cellular somatic level, on an energy level, and on the level of your perception. That is what the rearrangement is in that final level of mastery of the uses of the Merkaba. All right. So now rewinding, because I just gave you like all of the where you're headed, the overview. Let's go back to the very beginning. How do you use the Merkaba? Okay. So, and I'm just looking to see if there's any dog toys on the floor. Actually, there are. But let's move this so that you can see me. And then I will show you how do I do my Merkaba. Cheeky's wondering what is going on. You don't usually do this during class. So first of all, I sit like this and it is comfortable to me. You can see me over here perfectly well. Please sit in a way that is comfortable for your own joints, okay? And maybe I'll just make this camera go a little bit better so you can see me a little bit better. Only sit in a way that is comfortable for your joints, because you can also do this perfectly well seated in a regular chair, all right? And as I'm sitting here, you can see here's one side of the pyramid, another side of the pyramid, and then the other side of the pyramid goes across the front of my knees. This is the upward facing pyramid, and the top of my head is the top of the pyramid, or you could imagine it being like maybe this far up above the top of your head. And so you begin sitting, and you sit in meditation. So this is an active sitting, not just kind of like, like hanging out or whatever, intentional seatedness, and imagining that you have a facet that comes up in front of you here, and then imagining that you have this facet that comes this way. And then I also imagine that I have one facet that, imagine that you have your arm coming out from your heart, all right? That is where you're going to have a facet over here, and that your shoulders are the other 2 points of the triangle. So my back is flat. That is one facet back here. And if you put your arms together like this, then you would be making kind of like, a smaller, a skinnier, but triangular shape of the top of the receptive pyramid. That then the point of that pyramid goes downward. And I invite everyone to imagine that pyramid when it goes downward, connecting with Earth, because this is also a balance state between Earth and sky, or Earth and stellar network, much like me, Aurora, a balance between these two states. So when you are envisioning the upward pointing pyramid, you could imagine the top vertex pointing to or connecting with the sun or the stars, that which is higher dimensional, less dense realms. And then you can imagine the downward pyramid is pointing to Earth's crystalline core, the center or the singularity, the epicenter of Earth and earthliness. And why, Aurora? Why? Earth is where we also get our resources from. Earth is our mother, and Earth is also representative of matter. Mother and matter have the same root word. So we receive our resources and everything that we have from the creator of consciousness, energy, mind, matter, atoms, the stellar network, things that are pure energy. We also receive everything that we have from the planet that we are on, from actual physical embodied matter. Like if you want to receive a diamond ring, like you're going to dig it up out of the ground, out of Earth. It comes from Earth. My green juice comes from Earth. My dress comes from Earth. So when you are asking for something, you ask for it from earth as well as from the sky. And there's a balanced partnership between the two. So the downward facing receptive pyramid goes down and touches on the earth. So the very first practice that I invite you to do is just to be able to paint those images with your mental paintbrush, just to be able to think about and envision those energy fields around you. You don't even have to make them rotate yet. That is its own level of mastery and expertise. And I don't know if Lucy's tuned in right now. Lucy's a lovely friend, 10 plus years, and she's been in my class for a long time. And sometimes she shares, like, it took many years to be able to envision these pyramid shapes. And then, oh, Lucy's right there. How you doing, dear? And we can ask you where you are in your practice, but I never want to put you on the spot. But then to also keep things spinning, like that's another level of expertise. Like it's one thing to imagine something that is around you as a static object, but another thing completely to begin to imagine it while it is actually in motion. So it's like playing the piano. Like these are different skills that we grow and that we learn through applied practice. So the Merkaba is something that you practice over many, many years. Please never be discouraged if you don't get it or master it immediately. It is a lifetime project and it is part of the masterpiece. Get it? Mastery, masterpiece of your life. It is part of your journey of mastery. So creating for protective and nourishing force field. I do this every time before I do any kind of work, like before I do a flying rainbow lasagna session, or before I'm doing my paintings, or even before I'm going to do something simple that might be like setting up a website or doing some kind of banking thing. I will create a protective and nourishing energetic force field for almost any activity. And in the upward pointing pyramid, I breathe in the essentials and specifics is the word that I'm looking for, the specifics of the things that I want. Let's say I'm doing banking. I'm like, let's put the Merkaba up around this. I'm going to envision that I choose the right amount, it goes to the right account, everything gets transferred in the right day, that $32.98 gets sent over to this place on this day that it needs to get there. And then in the downward pointing pyramid, I will also put, and you can speak in negatives, but it's always better to speak in positives to make sure like no one's gonna hack my bank account, nothing bad is gonna happen, the money gets there on time and where it gets to go. And then in the downward and in the receptive pyramid, you can put receptive aspects of it, such as, I'm in abundance, I pay joyfully and joyously, the money that flows to the next person, or I receive my money in joy. You can be more nebulous in the things that you say. You get it? So it's different than saying like $38.62 will leave my bank account on this day at this time. It is like saying like I receive in gratitude, I pay joyfully and joyously, and send it out there. And you can also, so I'm going to stand up because it's just a lot easier on my neck for me to be able to show you this. So that's the beginning, is to be able to say here. Thank you for that. Protective and nourishing energetic force field. And like I said, do the Merkaba every time before I get going on my flying rainbow lasagna, individual dance or dance sharings, dance classes and group dances that I do with people. And that's like having tumbling mats in the world of time acrobatics, because it's very important to have a safe learning environment for when you are learning about directly perceiving, touching time tendrils, reweaving time and interacting with it, and you're learning the senses of your light body. Put up a Merkaba to be able to say, I would like to be able to learn safely. If I'm going to fall, like let's have a good landing. You know what I mean? Like that's part of like I don't do martial arts, but you learn how to fall correctly so that you kind of roll through it and you don't get an injury. Reality creation, may you have a joyful way of creating reality, and if something goes a little wrong, may it not be a deadly mistake, may it only be a tiny mistake that you are then able to fall correctly, land properly, and get up and kind of like dust yourself off, learn from that was not exactly what I wanted. Let's move on. Let's move on into a better direction over here. Okay. So the very first thing that I would invite all of you to do, if you're not already actively engaged in learning what Merkaba is be able to envision the upward pointing pyramid and the downward facing pyramid. And then the next thing is to be able to get into the levels of reality co-creation and wish making. Envision the one that sticks out. So I'm facing the camera. This is my left. For me, I envision the one that is sticking out from my heart, rotating around to the left. And I envision the one that is sticking out from the base of my spine, rotating around to the right. So what that means is that I have two planes that are parallel, one of which is going to the left, one of which is going to the right, and that there is a stability that is created by those two force fields. And that's back to the video, because the video really does help to show you this quite well. So I'll just do that instead of describing it verbally so laboriously. But that's what we're seeing here, this blurry kind of blurriness. Those two things are getting up to speed, and you know you're doing it right when you feel that flash of light. You know you're doing it right when you feel a column of light that comes from the vertex, that would be the one that's pointing downward into earth, to the vertex that is up above your head, that goes all the way up to the stars, and you are part of this column of light. And that also should show like you are part of a larger consciousness circuit or network, quote unquote. You are plugged in, as opposed to like just swimming around in your own private kiddie pool in a contextless void, not connecting effectively to anyone else. Like everything that you're doing with this work is done in the recognition that you are part of an ecosystem of energy. Your mind and your desires are touching on other alive beings. Here's a name of some of these other alive beings: Earth, the planet, the sun, the entire stellar network, the abstraction known as consciousness, which is also affiliated like as Christ, like Christ consciousness itself, God. And these are all alive people and things, not just dead, silly objects, that when you are doing Merkaba, you are connecting with all these things. So now you're also getting more of a sense of like, oh, like I'm really like, I had better be on my best behavior. I had better be ready because I am going to be connecting with all these things. So that's where I kind of laughingly think about myself as a starving artist, and my attitude that I did with my earlier Merkaba projects as being like maybe a little disrespectful in terms of like being in that context and the way that I was wishing for things. So just think about it in that sense of who you are and what you're doing. And then also like it should be fun and it should be lighthearted, and you should be able to wish for ice cream if you want to. Okay, so let's say you want to do something like a minor project, knit a little sweater or a little crochet a little pot holder, just to be able, like I'm thinking like a simple square, just to learn what you're doing. So yeah, you should be able to begin to experiment with reality creation. And the idea is what's the beginning part? That's sitting down in meditation and saying, I'm not going to sit down and do my Merkaba. All right. Then creating this energetic force field where you are making certain that it's love and above. You do that no matter what. And you do that all throughout your day. And this becomes a practice that you do it all day long and all night long. And it's also very effective to do before you go to sleep at night, so that your dreams are good dreams, in any dream interactions that you have are only with levels of consciousness that you would actually wish to be interactive with. So like no nightmares or negative dream, whatever, interlopers, hijackers, or anyone trying to come inside of you or come inside of your mind against your willpower. And then the next thing is to be able to say, now that I've got my beautiful protective and nourishing force field up, here's what I want to be talking about or wishing about today, and putting the specifics into the upward facing pyramid and the specifics, the receptiveness and non-specifics into the downward facing pyramid. Then when you get them rotating, that is like pressing run on a program. All non-transhumanistic here. Press run and it goes, and you should have an endpoint. You should say like, because I want to have this ice cream on Tuesday. And you should also have an endpoint in the sense of like having the microphone of the cosmos. You're like, ahem, is this thing on? I would really like some ice cream on Tuesday. and please put it in a blue dish. Thank you very much. And then you turn off your microphone or you put it down. And that's done, because you know what might happen. Like your kid might be like, hey mom, is there any more toilet paper? And you're going to be like, yeah, like it's over in the upper shelf. But like, if you're still like holding the microphone to the cosmos, like you're still talking to the entire cosmos. I joke about toilet paper, but it can be something that's very important if it's something that your body needs, but it's completely like the lowest, most mundane, lowest chakra stuff. So yes, when you're done with this intentional use of your mind, you then kind of like, close down the microphone so that it is evident, like that's done. My requests have been made, and you can use whatever verbalization or whatever sound symbols you want to in order to do that. It is similar to making intercessional prayers and then completing your prayers with amen, or in the name of God, amen, or so may it be, or something like that. It's a way of saying like, that's the end of that, and then on to lower level discussions about where the toilet paper might be located. And then once you get your Merkaba running and your program is running, you then experience reality. So, okay, let's talk about this. How does ice cream appear? Sometimes it magically appears on a table, like I open my eyes and boom, the ice cream was there. Sometimes there is a cosmic conduit. A person knocks on your door, knock, knock, knock. I happen to buy too much ice cream at the store. Do you want an extra one? Yes. Or sometimes you're out during your day and someone invites you over and there's that ice cream that you wanted. Sometimes you see it advertised on a placard outside of a store. Ice cream, come in here. And usually when it's like you've made a wish like that and then you see a placard or something, it's like glowing. It's like, and kind of like, hey, remember you just asked for this, it's right here, because it's really important to have the eyes to be able to see what you have actually wished for. So sometimes it's as obvious as showing up on your table, sometimes it's as obvious as a knock on the door, sometimes you have to be a little bit more interactive or proactive in going out and seeking it out. And then when you actually see it, you have to, you're learning salience, which is the reading of signals, which is part of the mastery of this chakra of your body, your Christ chakra, crystalline connection, crystalline consciousness architecture. Crystalline consciousness architecture is a proper reading and interpretation of the symbols and signs of the world around us. So there is actually an enormous encyclopedic library of everything that is all around us. You don't have to go to a specific library and read it in a book. It's actually all around us. But what you don't necessarily have is the decoder lens that tells you that over there is an important sign, that over there is just nothing. So sometimes when I walk along, like whatever, I might see on the ground a crumpled up lottery ticket, and there's maybe some words are visible on the crumpled up ticket that I'm looking at, one of those scratch to wins. Maybe it says something like win, win, win on it. And if I'm looking at it through my interpretive lens, then I might see win, 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 and have, a particular, it might give me information in a particular way. Or if my lens is in a different way, I might be like, no, that's trash. That means nothing to me. That is not a important, meaningful message to me from the cosmos. You get it? I'm sure you guys have all had this experience. Sometimes you're like this is a message from the cosmos. And sometimes you're like, this is a crumpled up piece of trash that is just somebody threw out their car window. It's on the ground. And it is really your own personal interpretive system that separates out the salience meaning emphasized, important, orderly meaning from the things that are just errant signals. Again, so this is all part of the journey towards mastery. So sometimes you see a big sign that's like, ice cream here, and you're like, your inner eye tells you that's what I wished for. And then the other thing is, so I don't usually eat ice cream. It's actually like a super, super, super treat because I usually stay away from sugar and stuff like that. But I was someplace last year that was like a famous ice cream type of home handmade ice cream place, and they had all these flavors. I'm like, I'm gonna have to try this stuff, and looking at all the different flavors of what to try. And one of them jumped out like, this is the one, you're gonna want to eat it. And it was olive oil flavored ice cream. I'm like, olive oil flavored ice cream, like that's so weird. I've never heard of it before. And also, like, are you sure? But sometimes you have to take the signs and signals that are given to you about what you're supposed to do. And I got it, and it was really good. And I've never seen it anyplace before, but I didn't necessarily know that I had wished for it. But I was happy to be, I was like, chef's choice. I'm in receptive mode. I will try the olive oil flavored ice cream. Okay. So as you begin to create more small knitting projects, where you're like, okay, like this came out horrible. Like, look, all the stitches do not add up together. And it was, totally bizarre and everything. Like, you're like, I'll do better next time. That's totally fine. You have a learning process and you're absolutely loved. You are totally loved by the cosmos. That's like, oh, like your first crooked knitting project, it totally didn't work out at all. Don't worry, because you get better. And the way that you get better is through practice. So you begin to be able to practice these envisionments, practice desires. Like, our world right now is very much about commodity and materialistic desires. Everything that we see advertised on TV and all of these things that really go deeply into our subconscious, they press buttons. You're going to want this, you're going to want this, you're going to want this. And it happens to me all the time, because I don't watch TV myself, but it is often on in the room, in the living room, right next to the kitchen. Here, I have a housemate who might have the TV on, and I'm like making my food, and they're maybe advertising something that's like whatever, like the, cookie decorating kit for this holidays. I'm like, maybe I should get that. Then I'm like, no, I don't want to get that at all. Someone is pushing my buttons in my brain and using biochemistry in order to make me want that thing, because that's what advertising does. So just be aware of that sometimes desires can be implanted or artificially manipulated and augmented in this world. You're wishing for something where it's like, that is just because it was advertised to you. It's not what you really want or what you really need. So a great part of this journey of self-discovery and remembrance of God's self and empowerment is recognizing and separating out your true desires and your true passions from those which might be implanted or meaningless, or that serve others, that it serves the ice cream, the company that is selling the thing, not necessarily selling you what you want for yourself. To separate out your true desires from those that are not your true desires or that are implanted. Or sometimes you get what your desire is, and sometimes it is not what you really desired. So in preparing for this class, I was driving home from walking my dog today. And I was thinking, how can I say this to everyone? Because I'm such a responsible teacher. What I really want to teach to all of you is a values system. Like, even as I'm teaching you the mechanics of something incredibly self-empowering, how to make things happen in reality. That's what that YouTube advertisement, there's a class, you can take it. It's all about how to make stuff happen in reality. And how I have thought, should I make a class like how to make stuff happen in reality with Aurora? And I've thought, like, I don't know about this. The thing that I want you to wish for the most is freedom. Because right now, of all the things that you think you want, like you think you want a lipstick or a motorcycle or that cookie decorating set, you don't want those things. What you want is freedom. And when people think that they want to wish for more sales in their job or a better spouse, or just maybe better looking spouse, I don't know. I want it to be kind of lighthearted about that, but it's kind of sad sometimes. Being married to someone different and better, or the fulfillment that would come from something that you think you can get. Like, I'm going to get the thing and then I'm finally going to feel good inside. You don't really want the thing. You want to feel good inside. And I'm telling you this, and what makes you feel good inside really is freedom. That if you have this amazing capacity, a magic wand, a magic lamp, and a magic ring, these are things from fairy tales, but they are very, very, they speak to us on a very deep symbolic level that is very valid. If you are given the ring of power, what are you gonna wish for? Don't just wish for something that is materialistic. Don't just wish for something that is fleeting, that you think is going to give you fulfillment, but if it's gone, then you don't have that fulfillment. You wish for freedom. Freedom is an intangible. It is contextual. So you can't weigh it on a scale. It is absolutely related to the context of your life. And if you have it, it's something that you can't just have it taken away. Like if you think like freedom is a motorcycle, because then I can go down the road and my hair is flying out behind me and it's like, I'm free. But then your motorcycle can like run out of gas and then you're not free anymore. Someone can steal your motorcycle, you're not free anymore. If you wish for the abstract of freedom, then you get that inner fulfillment and the feeling state that you're looking for, and no one can take it away from you, and it cannot be ironically misfulfilled. It cannot, like your dream apparatus can't be taken and twisted and hijacked and brought into an unintentional, undesired state. And I think that mostly what people are wishing for, like when you're wishing for ice cream, like you're wishing for like a reward. When you're wishing for a lot of these things, people are mostly wishing for freedom. When people think that what they want is money, a lot of the time what you want is freedom, which is what I learned from my small wish misadventure. I thought that what I wanted was money, but what I really wanted was freedom, because when the pile of cash was in my energy field, I actually wasn't free to enjoy it at all. And again, I'll get into the specifics of that. But that it was the perfect lesson for me. And that's why I share it here, as I am a teacher for all of you. The value system that I want to imbue you with as I am teaching you these specifics of how to engineer or create reality for yourself has to do with wishing for freedom. And in this planet, what we really want, like you don't want to be a millionaire. Like you want to have freedom. You don't want to just have a lot of material opportunities. Even being a millionaire doesn't necessarily mean that you have opportunities. Because think about this. I think about someone like, remember Lady Diana from the British royal family of many years ago? She had millions of dollars. She had crown jewels and fancy gowns and many different things, but she also was not in control of her life. She couldn't choose to just wake up in the morning and go someplace. Like she needed an entourage and a security detail and to run her things past a scheduler and see if it's allowed. And like, are you allowed to cut your hair into that style? Are you allowed to wear that dress? And if you have a dress in your closet, are you allowed to sell it? So all of those things, like ostensibly she owned a lot of things.
Love me.
Oh, let me just mute.
Love me. Welcome.
Yeah, let me just mute you just for the sake of the recording. Owned a lot of materialistic items in name, but was not actually free in her day-to-day activities, or in her experience and pleasure and use of those items. And just a very good rule of thumb, like if you own a thing, or if you have a thing, or if a thing is yours, but if you're not actually free to sell it or use it, like you don't really own it. You got it? And that a lot of people, I'm sure in your own lives, you can think of something about this, like maybe maybe there's a family home, like family homestead or something like that, that got passed down to you. You own it, it's in your name. But if you cannot sell it, or if it is something that relates to other people as well, like you'd have to get that guy, and that guy on board when you could sell it, it's not really yours. And so I bring this up just to say, like, there are so many backbends and inner convolutions that people do in order to try to like, and then one day I'll inherit the family estate, but like you can get it, it's in your name, but it ends up being something that is not genuinely a tool or apparatus for your own fulfillment, because it is so fraught and so tied up with so many other things. So when I encourage you towards my value system, I tell you to wish for freedom, or use your reality creation ability that you're developing to create and move towards states of freedom. I do that because that's where real fulfillment is. Like inheriting the family estate or the crown jewels or any of these things, like you can still be caged and miserable and not your true self, even while being the ostensible, in name only owner of these things. So we're coming out of this world of huge materialism, which is why I have to kind of tell you about this. But I come from a world that is totally non-materialistic, both in the sense of being a pure light world and also a world where who is rich in Aurora's world? If you have imagination, then you are wealthy, then you are rich. If you have a creative inner aspect that you can use to write a new song or think of a new thing or do something in a new way, then you are wealthy. So in our world, you're wealthy if you're like, I can afford to buy a grand piano. But there are many people that have a grand piano, but they do not actually know how to write music or create a song or be in that way. You are wealthy if you know how to create something new or generate and co-create something new with God, the divine presence. That is real wealth of the higher dimensions. So let me get into the specifics of the third thing, which is, and then I'll get to all the, oh wait, this Joanne says freedom is what I desire for myself and all on this planet galaxy. Thank you for that. And I'm reading this comment because it's so relevant to what I just said. Thank you for that. And this is also why I share and encourage people to use my value system as a template to embrace the values that I share with you, because when you are dancing for freedom and creating freedom architecture, that is truly what is of benefit to everyone else. So in this other class that was advertised where it's like, you know, have more sales at work, that certainly benefits you and you're able to sustain yourself better within the social milieu, but that does not benefit other people very much. Or if you win a trip to Paris, it doesn't really benefit others very much, even though it's all of this is competition. Sales is competition. Winning a contest or winning a lottery, this is competition. All competition happens on the ego level and in the state of interactivity that is known as egotism. Like where I come from, there's not competition. This is not like I'm going to be more better or have something at the expense of someone else. That's a very different way of perceiving and navigating in the cosmos. And there was a time in this world before there was ego-based competition, when really everything you have is coming out of your imagination. And it's not like, I'm more imaginative than you. I had 12 new ideas today. You only had 2. Like, it's really not like that at all. So it is very much about learning and cultivating your own inner powers and your passions in order to create and generate a more perfect world that is more perfect for all of us. And the journey of being able to do that, it's a lifetime journey. It's not, that's why I want to reaffirm to everyone, like, if you don't learn this in my one class, like that's, clearly words fail me. Like, it's like saying like that you're going to learn to play the violin, like beautiful, you know, master in whatever, a few months. Like, that's not realistic. You're going to take your lifetime in order to be able to learn about these things. So please be in radical self-love about how long it takes to actually become a master and how long it takes to achieve mastery over reality. And it's a wonderful journey also. It's not something where you should feel pressured. Like, I hope I learn this by next Tuesday because I've got a sales goal that I want to meet as, you know, like whatever, as a sales rep or something like that. No, this is something very, very different. That is much more about your own inner personal development. And so then the culmination of this journey towards mastery is to be able to travel interdimensionally. And now I use my fancy cardboards in order to be able to show you how do I do that, Aurora? So starting off with, this is an equilateral triangle. Don't look at these. This, and this are all 3 sides. Triangles have 3 sides, and these are all the same length of sides. Equilateral triangle. A tetrahedron is made out of 4 equilateral triangles. 1, 2, 3, 4. I will now fold these into the pyramid shape that is known as a tetrahedron. This is a pyramid that has a triangular base and all equilateral sides. Got it? Different than the pyramid at Giza, which has triangular faces that are equilateral, but it has a square base. I'll make it for you here, so that way I can just jump ahead. This is what the pyramid of the Great Pyramid in Egypt is known like. Square base. All right. So star tetrahedron, we're starting off with 2 of these. I'm going to be a little bit challenging to be able to fold these things up on camera and hold everything properly. 1 is pointing downwards towards the earth. 1 is pointing upwards towards the sky. Also, brief aside, this in 2-dimensional cross-section is often seen as the Jewish star, the Star of David, or the symbolic representation of the nation state known as the State of Israel. None of this has anything to do with being a Jewish person, being affiliated with Israel, or a particular, approach to reality or cultural paradigm. This is the star tetrahedron is for everyone, but it is a powerful symbol, which is why you can understand both the Jewish religion and the nation state of Israel has adopted it as its symbol structure. So this is not only for Jewish people and not only for Israeli people. When you are doing this transformation from a star tetrahedron into an octahedron, we're going to take these 8 triangles and rearrange them into an octahedron. I already showed you how I do one of them. I'm going to take the bottom and I'm going to make it one of the sides. And now I have the top portion of the octahedron, and I'm going to do the same thing with the other one. Same triangles, same number of sides, but just arranged differently. So now I have another pyramid that is like this, and these guys fit together. It's not easy to do on camera in this way. All right, you can imagine that they fit together perfectly. Tetra into octa. So just like with the changing of your cellular structure, in order to become a Vajrayana body, I'm not going to take like an ice cream scooper and I'm going to be like, okay, we're going to, don't worry guys, we're going to turn you painlessly into an ascended master. I'm just going to like scoop out these cells, plop them over here, scoop, plop, like get rid of all the things that don't fit. And then everything that's left behind is you as an ascended master. No, you actually retain all of your triangles. But what we're going to do is we're going to rearrange them. We're going to rearrange the structure of all of the cells of your body and all of the events of your life into a new, more perfectly arranged format that is a crystalline architecture as opposed to a random mishmash. That is what happens. So this transformation from tetra into octa, like Aurora, how do I do this? This is a change of your perception. The changing of going from this type of pyramid structure into this type of pyramid structure has everything to do with that optical illusion that I showed you. It's a young woman, it's an old woman. It's a young woman, it's an old woman. It's the same piece of paper. It's the same pixels on a screen. It's the same ink lines. What's different is your perception is changing. So when you switch from tetra to octa, what's happening is your perception of reality is changing. You are rearranging the puzzle pieces of you and what you have. As a result, your perception is changing, or your perception changes, and as a result, the puzzle pieces of you fall into a new, they fall in line, they fall into a new contextual relevance that relates to your new perception. And then from that new perception, you also have a new agenda, or multiple new agendae, new sets of motivations. Like if you can create this star tetrahedron Merkaba energy field around you, and you're like, great, like now I can use that to get around instead of my car. I'm going to save on oil changes, and then I can just tetrahedron myself on over to the store to be able to get my coffee and milk in the morning. And the answer is no. Like you would not be doing mundane tasks with your star tetrahedron, because in the process of rearrangement, you will necessarily have transcended the need for those mundane fulfillments of coffee and milk or bananas or whatever you need at the store. You don't use these magical or supernatural or miraculous tools for mundane or extremely, what would be the word? I want to say something like parochial, like very normal and ordinary, unimpressive things that can be achieved through less magical and supernatural means. So you would not use this to be able to return your library book to the library. No one uses libraries anymore. Like, I'm laying on my library book, let me hop in my Merkaba and I'll just zoom it on down there and put it in the book drop. But you would use your Merkaba for something like, let me heal my body of this supposedly incurable disease that the doctor has given me a very low prognosis for. That's something that you would use for a Merkaba, or protecting a situation. So wait. Thank you for understanding. I'm on a marathon. I need my green juice. I put Merkabas around everything in order to protect seemingly mundane activities such as doing my banking, because when you do your banking, you can get hacked or have a problem like that, or overdrawn. Oh no, this thing went through on the wrong day and then this thing happened on the wrong day. Let's say you already had a problem, you're already overdrawn at the bank. Despite your best efforts, you didn't juggle all of your accounts properly, and there wasn't enough money to cover this, thing that came out, whatever, withdrawal, that a monthly subscription, and then, oh no, like $35, and it's like a whammy in life. You can put a Merkaba around that situation. What does that look like? It looks like putting a direct pyramid that says, I want to resolve this, I want to fix this, I want to have to pay this overdraft fee. And in the receptive pyramid, it is a way of protecting your resources, using them with honor, using them effectively, and being able to have everything that you need. And then what do? You press run on your program, and then you actually call up the bank's customer service and explain to them what happened. And then you see what is the outcome. Because it would be highly presumptive to be like, I know what's going to happen. Like, you can't expect that things will go necessarily in your favor, and you have to make requests to the cosmos. And so this has to do with reality creation and influence in a positive and respectful way. And so if you explain to them, oh, I thought I had this money, it didn't come in at the right day, this subscription came out automatically, can you help me with this overdraft fee? And then the positive resolution would be that they say, yes, of course, we'll take away that $35 overdraft fee. Your account gets all fixed up, everything's great. That would be an example of what we're talking about. So wait, there's more, because I just used that as like a simple regular example. I put a Merkaba around all of my videos, because my video is my physical presence and it is a representative of my identity. And I am aware that some people either intentionally or unintentionally send negativity or curses to people's faces. Some people look at someone on a video and they're like, I hate that person, I hate their face, I hate everything about them, I want them to drive their car off a road immediately and like smash into 10 million pieces. And like, that is actually in freedom, that is their prerogative to do so. It is their prerogative to be hateful and cruel and full of horrible negative energy. But when you put up a Merkaba, you're like, not around me. You're like, you can be hateful and cruel and full of negative energy all the way over there. You can spew your hatred and your horrible, negative, mental, psychotic, psychopathic fantasies elsewhere, not in my energy field. You got it? The Merkaba is like a tool for ultimate fairness, in the sense that you should be gravitating towards you, love and above. Everyone who is like, yes, I love, you're a being of pure love and you're made of light information and organized intelligence, and I want to be around you. They're like, come inside the energy field. Let's make music together. That sounds fantastic. But the other guys that are all about pure hatred, I'm like, no, you cannot be in my energy field. There is a protective energy field around me, and that their hatred literally bounces off of the rotating facets and goes elsewhere. And I do that energy field Merkaba work around myself, because I recognize, like, I have public videos that are out on YouTube, and some people literally watch YouTube videos in order to troll or make fun of or send negativity to other people, whether they write them in comments or whether they send it with their heart. That's fine. It is their prerogative to do so, far away from me. You got it? And I'm modeling this for all of you guys so you can use it as a template in your life. What this means is that I don't have to go to every single person in the world and be like, you better be nice. Like, you better be nice. Be nice, be nice, be nice, be nice, be nice. Be like, no, like, you can be a pile of crap. Be a pile of crap. Be mean, be horrible, be cruel, be negative, be whoever you are on your journey. But when I put up my energy field, it means that you can't be that around me. You can't be that to me. You can't do that, send that energy out to me. That is love. Got it? Love, when I talk about it, is a reciprocity, and it is also a profound, blazing compassion and acceptance. That guy's full of hatred. He's full of hatred. I don't have to make him different. I allow him his journey. his journey of hatred and cruelty and whatever psychopathology. Be a psychopath. Go enjoy your journey of being a psychopath. Good. Have fun being a psychopath. Bye. But you don't get to do it around me. That is why the Merkaba is really an example of you are a living conduit of cosmic love when you put this around yourself, because you are essentially saying you are free. This is also part of my teachings about freedom. When you wish for freedom, you're like, yeah, I actually wish for freedom. I want to be free to be who I want to do, who I want to be, and do what I want to do. All of that is totally righteous and appropriate. And you also recognize that there might be others who want to do what they want to do that might be like very, very ill-conceived and very harmful and cruel. They're allowed to do that, but they're not allowed to do it to you or to other innocent people. So these are big, big, big life lessons. This is bigger than just meeting sales goals or trying to find a better relationship or a diamond ring or something like that. This is big because it has to do with who you are allowed to be and behavioral control mechanisms, and whether someone else is allowed to control you or whether you're allowed to control them. When you start to get into direct wish making in the cosmos, you have to really consider all these things. It is considered dark magic or negative use of magic or supernatural or miraculous capabilities to be like, oh, I'm going to wave my magic wand and poof, I'm going to control your behavior. I'm going to do stuff to you. I'm going to make you do stuff. I'm going to take away your freedom. That's a no-no. That is not okay. That is not allowed. So the idea is, the Merkaba is a non-technological form of self-augmentation that you earn it. You earn it like you earn your muscles through your activities. You build this living force field around you that is capacitative, that is empowering. And in the process of building it and strengthening it, you gain additional layers of wisdom that help you to use it properly in the world to make the world better, not merely to serve yourself or make the world even worse, which I hope you can tell from my face, like that is horrific and not what I would want, which is also why so the Merkaba and the teachings about it were held in trust by ancient mystery schools for a very long amount of time. They were actually not something that was taught in regular school, like reading, writing, and arithmetic. Was actually something that was considered to be very proprietary knowledge, only for the worthy, only for select people, because it was not, we don't want that ring of power to fall into the hands of a mad person and then use it so poorly. Yes, totally against cosmic law to use these levels of personal empowerment to overcome someone else's free will. And that the idea is that when you gain these capacitations naturally, the process of gaining the capacitation gives you the wisdom to know how to use it. That's really, really different than if someone gave you like a reality creation box, looking for something that can be like a box, like here's your reality creation magic box. And anything that you say or speak or draw in this box is going to happen in reality. Go have fun, kid. That would be a very, very ill-conceived idea, because there's no wisdom. There's no wisdom. There's no sense of like, you could be like, okay, great. Like, let's put like venomous snakes and nuclear bombs in the box. And then that will be everywhere. No, you can tell by my voice that I'm being facetious. We don't want those things to come into reality. We don't want to manifest those things. That would be, it would be like giving firecrackers to children, or even worse, creating a firecracker factory that children could then use not only to blow up their own hands and neighbors, but everyone else in the world. We don't want that to happen. So wait, let me also just roll through. Okay, yeah, making sure that I'm getting to everybody's comments over here. Yeah, I know you want to make sure that this is all done in the proper way. So there is definitely a learning curve from the cosmos, because I told you about my own little misadventure, and I had a couple of fun, good misadventures in terms of creating within this present reality structure using the Merkaba, and then learned and grew in order to be able to use it more effectively. So how do I use it now? I use it now before and during the process of my Flying Rainbow Lasagna dance, when I really want to make certain and safeguard the creative energy of that dance to be something that is very pure and very higher dimensionally, higher self-oriented, not merely for serving materialistic needs or egotistical, egocentric desires, but really for reshaping reality into the greatest version of the story of reality that it can be. And when I say greatest, I do not mean like, oh, like these horribly painful sufferings really are bringing you towards your greatness. So it's essential when you start to go into the world of language, you recognize like words can definitely be twisted. The cosmos knows your true heart. God knows your true heart. The true mind of Christ knows your true heart. And that is what is essential. Because if you're like, I'm going to put into my Merkaba that I only want to have lessons that bring me towards my greatness, then a cruel interpretation of that would be like, oh, great. Get my machete. I'm going to chop off your arms and your legs, and you're going to live as nothing but a torso, and you will learn, and it will make you great. Like that is not what the cosmos is like. It's not what God is like. But that is what some cruel psychopaths are like. They're like, I am didactic. I'm a didactic bully, and I'm bringing you towards your greatness. And the more that I punch you in the face, and the greater you become as you overcome me. I made you great. I'm like, no. Because the truth is, with harm and cruelty and bullies like that, you become great in spite of their efforts in your life to bring you down. You become great in spite of them and in spite of the injuries and the cruelty, but that the cruelty and the injuries to your body, these are not part of your educational program from God or the cosmos or anything like that. Please know that you're actually profoundly loved, and that the type of learning lessons that you're given are joyful learning lessons. Everything about Merkaba and reality creation and flying your lasagna is supposed to be about like, hooray, I tried to paint a painting, and I tried to paint a bowl of fruit, or I tried to make a thing happen in reality. And if it doesn't look perfect, you're not horribly punished. That is not the way that God and the cosmos works. What you're given is an accurate assessment of your work and the opportunity to try again. You got it? Because of course, everyone in my audience and everyone that I'm speaking to here is the presumption that your students actually trying to do your math homework correctly. So if I give you your math homework, I'm like, red X, red X, red X here. It is with the presumption that you made those mistakes innocently. And then you're like, oh, sorry, I'm going to try again, try again, try again, try harder, try better, do better. But that none of this is about suffering and punishment, which is different than the world of cruelty and psychopathology, which is a totally different frequency zone. That is different than all the things that I teach about. So I know it can be exhaustive for me to have to be like, because I have one lovely student participant friend who's like, Aurora, like you're always making these distinctions and defending yourself. And at a certain point, you don't have to defend yourself anymore. And it's true. I'm a different type of extraterrestrial, extra dimensional than these cruel psychopathic beings. And I, do find it tiresome to have to constantly make a distinction between who I am and what I teach in my value system, in contrast with versus who they are and the way that they act and the way that they use reality creation tools. We are miles apart. We are very, very, very different types of consciousnesses and types of organisms. And I'm 100% love-based, and I'm about the value system that is freedom and then radical self-responsibility. And that also what I am and what I'm aligned with is much stronger and more powerful than the mere self-serving Jenga towers of this other type of convoluted psychopathic society. You know what Jenga is. They're these kind of like tilting, it's like very destabilized. So all the things that I teach about, it's not just like an arbitrary sense of like, this is better than that. It is better for a reason. I'm actually creating polygons that have structural integrity in the cosmos. These things are coherent, they stick together, they have a longevity, they have proper structure, and the proper structure is what helps them to remain in existence. So I didn't emphasize enough in class about the way that this rearrangement happens when you rearrange it from the tetrahedron into the octahedron. When you look through this little thing over here, this little crystal, if you look through it in just the right way, like the lighting has to be just right, but you will see a star tetrahedron in there. So if I draw this for you, the way that this ends up looking, and I have so many different, I have a lot of different teachings about this every semester. but sometimes I spend a lot of time drawing it out for you, and I encourage you to draw it too, and it's a wonderful way to learn. So here's a cross section of the original 2 interpenetrating star tetrahedra. If I want to change it into an octahedron, what I do is I put a line here, one here. That's a terrible line. Let me make it look a little bit better. You guys can tell I'm such a perfectionist and I'm squinting, trying really hard. And a line here. And then I also have a line like this. And then I also have a line like this. Now let me kind of color for you what this shape ends up looking like, because you end up getting, let's count out the faces now. Here's one face, 2, 3, and then there's one on the other side that you can't see, 4. All right, and then down here, this is one face, 1. There's one that you can't see, 2. There's one that you can't see, 3, and then there's another one on the opposite side behind it that you can't see, 4. I love Sesame Street. This is a positive thing to say. This is just like Sesame Street. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're not adding, we're not taking away. We are rearranging with our perception and being able to see the already in existent ingredients of reality in a new format in order to be able to transform from the star tetrahedron to the octahedron, and in order to make this incredibly powerful moment that is a leap from one dimension to the next. I'm going to roll this forward. You can see that column of light that happens first, right? Column of light, and then you can see sitting in the octahedron. And that moment of going from this shape into this shape, that's the interdimensional portal. That is the perception portal. That is the change from like the optical illusion, old woman to young woman, or vice versa. This view of reality to this view of reality. And that is how experts do star travel. Like this is also, it's very different. This does not involve building a machine. Like all the scientists of the world are going to get together and they're going to build a machine and then we're all going to fly to a different world together. No, that's not actually how it works, because you have to create mastery within yourself, and then you have to change and transform your cellular structure and go through a portal that is a consciousness portal that I also call a frequency door. So I have a couple of songs that are about that, but in one of them is called Symphony of Life from Under a Gentle Sun. And I say, go through a frequency door, 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 door. Like I use all of these sound effects to be able to make it feel like you're going through the frequency door. You go through a frequency door. It's actually much, much more difficult and more challenging than digging up a bunch of metal, refining it, turning it into whatever, titanium or steel or something like that, building a giant metallic object, creating your spacesuit out of some kind of whatever, impervious, bulletproof material, getting into your titanium spaceship, blasting off, utilizing combustion and liquid oxygen or dilithium crystals or whatever you're using, flying out of the gravity well, propelling yourself across vast reaches of space-time, eating food out of a toothpaste tube, pooping in a space diaper. It's more challenging than any of those things. It actually requires profound levels of self-refinement, learning more about who you are and what your motivations are, learning more about your passion and your heart and what you really want and what you really desire, and then propelling yourself using your mind and your passion and your desire. And when you do that, when I talk about how experts do star travel, we actually just don't go, I want to say willy-nilly or hither, thither, and yon. We don't just go any old place. We go places where we're supposed to go. And this is a big thing that I think about. I will get to all of your questions. I'm almost at the end of this recording, but like I said, we already did the WALK for today, so I don't have any rush or assignments to be able to get to. I read lots of science fiction stories, and I like those movies too. And I like things that are otherworldly fiction. And in some of them, it's like, yes, we used our tachyon drive to be able to fly to planet blah, 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 because we needed to shoot people with lasers, like a tachyon drive. Like we're going to like bend and fold the fabric of time, space, and reality so that we can get to this other planet super fast, because we're going to have to shoot people there in some way or perform some kind of violence activity. And I'm like, no, 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 no. Like if you're going to do the bending of the fabric of the folding of space, time, and consciousness, like you have to have a much better motivation than like, oh yeah, like I want to get over to that planet super fast and not have to move from point A to point B across linear space so that I can shoot people, so that I can hurt people. Or how about this? So I can dig up a bunch of dilithium crystals and benefit me, and then I can fly to more places, or maybe get some other resources that I want, because those crystals are on that planet for a reason that might seem inconsequential to you, but is hugely important within the larger cosmic context. And those people that you want to shoot or destroy, like they have lives, and they might are supposed to keep their lives instead of you bending and folding the fabric of time, space, and consciousness so you can go there as a space armada and shoot them. So all of this speaks to, if you create a time bending mechanical apparatus, then a person who is not well evolved can be like, great, I'm going to use that machine apparatus to do all sorts of unevolved, unenlightened, very destructive activities. And you can tell, I shake my finger. I do not approve of any of that. I approve of self-cultivation of your own individuality purpose, to the point of being able to perform these activities and time, space, consciousness bending maneuvers and backbends and acrobatics in time without accoutrements and without apparatuses other than your physical body and possibly like a glass of water or something like that. You might, whatever, get thirsty or hungry. And then according to the value system, that is the larger musical score of time. That when I travel places as Aurora, I go there because I'm supposed to. I'm an impulse in the mind of God. And I'm like a neurological impulse. Like I'm supposed to bounce over here and I'm supposed to do something there. I'm supposed to bounce over there and do something there. I'm supposed to bounce into this human female body and do something there. And the thing that I'm supposed to do here is more than just like the small, inconsequential aspects of daily life, like, returning library books or buying coffee at the store, any of these little things that we do. I'm actually, here like as an impulse of light, bringing light information into this time place. That is what I'm supposed to be doing. So when you cultivate yourself, you cultivate your immune system, you create kind of a safe artistic zone for you to begin to explore your reality creation, crochet and knitting projects with the cosmos, and begin to make smaller things happen. And you begin to hone and refine your own personal desires of what you want and what you want to make happen, until you get to these levels of inner artistry where you're like, something, I don't just want to make something that's good for me. I want to make something that's beautiful and good for everyone. And I want to paint a painting that is beautiful and perfect across time, and that has a positive impact on all these other people across time as well. And then you're starting to get to the level where you can do that inner flip-flop of moving from being relatively unorganized inner architecture towards being a crystalline structure, perfectly organized, to go through the frequency door, like the way that a key fits in a lock. You have to be shaped the right way. So imagine if instead of NASA putting astronauts through these training programs where it's like, you're going to have to run and do your cardio, then you're going to have to do like weight training, then you're going to have to like scuba dive underwater, then you're going to have to, do this or that. Like they put them through all these different physical training regimens and things like that. What if instead your quote unquote astronauts had to go through a spiritual training regimen, where it's like, yep, you're going to have to learn how to be a more loving, compassionate, blazingly forgiving person. And you're going to have to become, like everything that we consider to be an ascended master. You're going to have to be incredibly loving towards other people. And you're going to have to consider your own actions and how what you do and what you send out has a direct impact on the world around you. And that's very, very different than being like, go to the gym and like do push-ups. Being like, you're going to have to like be a better person. And then you will be able to fly into these higher otherworldly dimensional realities. That would be like a different level of personal cultivation. And we would also have different candidates. It wouldn't just be like, who's got the best, whatever capacity for breathing in a scuba tank or something like that. It would not just be like, who's the best scuba diver. You would find different, your aspirants would come from a different pool of candidates than people that have good trigonometry skills or can do push-ups or something like that. They would probably come from the people that in our world, we describe them as spiritual aspirants, some of whom might be part of an ashram or a monastery, or some of whom might not be and might be exactly like what you guys are. You are independent or often unaffiliated spiritual aspirants who are on your path of remembering God's self, learning about yourself, blazing love and compassion and forgiveness and mercy towards yourself and towards others, and then achieving the radical levels of self-responsibility that are necessary for going into these states of total empowerment. Because when you can paint things with the paintbrush of your mind, here's a paintbrush, I'm going to paint things with the paintbrush of my mind. You have to be responsible for what you're painting and paint things that look a certain way and that fit with the larger overall masterpiece of reality. So I have so much more to say, but I want to get to more of your questions and comments. So Rose was saying earlier, perfect topic for the solstice. It really is, because this is a very beautiful, powerful manifestation portal. And I've been feeling it a lot, and actually was really feeling the waves of potential during the 19th, and had some sleepless nights and really spent those times like in a receptive state and a focused state between what I want for myself and what God and the cosmos wants for me, and aligning with those things. And so when you're really in your Merkaba and you're really flying on these time tracks, that is what you're doing. You're flying amidst these larger time currents. So this one might be, it's a private message, but I do want to read it out loud. It may be a little bit off topic, but Melissa, and thank you for being here, says, love the new top. Thank you so much. Is that a tree in the heart chakra on your top? And also reminds me of a Merkaba shape. So thank you for noticing that. This is actually something new, a new fabric design that I created from one of my paintings, where I kind of cut this part out from a larger portion and then repeated it on the pants and then added an orange background to it. So it is from one of my earlier paintings from a couple of years ago, and it does relate to the chakras and to the Merkaba. So I know that might be a little bit less on the cosmic level, but thank you for noticing it, because I do put a lot of time and effort into these types of things too. And yeah, this is something that I'm just about to put up on my website. So I'll be sure to include a link to that. And I just thank you for that, because I'm proud of the regular physical work that I do also. And I appreciate the recognition. So Joanne was laughing about my comments about bingo. And she also says, freedom. Freedom is what I desire for myself and all of this planet and galaxy. And thank you for being an understanding teacher with great morals. Thank you for that recognition. And you are so welcome. And it is also my job joy, and it's why I'm here. And everything about these morals or the value system that I share with you, these are the value system of myself, Aurora, the collective that is in this higher dimensional space, and the entire real galactic level of civilization. Like you notice, I use my words very carefully. I talk about galactic civilization that is really civilized. My pinkies are up, like we do the minuet. We are very highly refined, different than something that is an organization. Some of these lower level organizations that are like, let's hop in a metal spaceship, clank metal spaceship and go places and kill people and dig up dilithium crystals and do whatever we want to do, because they have not learned these lessons yet. So please understand, please comprehend, they have not learned these lessons. They don't get to learn their lessons all over you. Put up your Merkaba. They are definitely allowed to be in their negativity, cruelty, or whatever levels of exploration of reality creation they are in, but you are not obliged to present yourself to be able to have them learn all over you what it is to harm others. Lucy, I'm happy that you were able to be here even for a brief moment in your busy day at work. And Joanne says, I apologize, I missed some, I had an important phone call. No problem at all. No problem at all. I understand completely. Sometimes people are in different time zones. They hop in and out. Sometimes people are listening at work. I'm in radical love and compassion for you, because I also balance out the things that I do in terms of my work as information and light coming in here on my cosmic job joy, and balancing that with the physical activities of sustaining my existence here, including sometimes driving to the store and buying coffee, toilet paper, milk, sometimes bananas, dog food, and the other things that I need, and having my various many angelic assignments and side gigs, inside out gigs, and upside down gigs. So yes, I'm always radical self-compassion about all of that. And please also understand, like, all of these things that we do here in these multicellular bodies, these are part of the self-cultivation that we are doing, learning to balance responsibility to self with responsibility to community. This is what we are doing. Joanne says, my call with Saint Nick. He donated $75 to my electric light bill. Not kidding. Good job. Good job. Very beautiful, because you know something, you got to keep the electrons flowing in the wire. And that's part of being here in this time place too, taking care of the practical concerns. So okay. And what I gave, and this is even like in 2 hours, and I try to talk fast and get everything in. And even in 2 hours of talking fast, that is still only half of what I do in the presentation in the recorded whiteboards for this class. So I continually urge and invite everyone to catch the live lectures that I do here, but really delve by watching the recorded lessons that I do. And the animation helps. So I did the animation many years after I did the original whiteboards, but the information, the languaging that I use in the original whiteboards is still so worthy and so relevant. And learning Merkaba and practicing it and mastering it is as essential to your adult life as being able to tie your shoes. Like, it never stops being relevant. You're going to have to tie your shoes in adulthood as well as in childhood, or in early levels of development too. So it is worth mastery of all of these things. And just I'll reiterate one more time, it's a balance. You're balancing out direct requests and chef's choice, receptivity. You're balancing out your own needs, me, and the needs of the larger collective of social human dynamics, and even the needs of the cosmos or of God, or the needs of the larger energetic ecosystem. You're balancing out what you want for pleasure and ecstasies and what your partner wants for pleasure and ecstasies. And in this world, your partner is God or the cosmos or the Christ network of consciousness, like larger things than just one physical embodiment, but also still someone, a person to be respected. So if I can just impart to you, beyond the mechanics of what I am teaching to you, the value system of respecting your partner. Please love yourself in radical self-compassion, and please love and respect your partner, because in every relationship, it is about giving and receiving. My dog is in her little dog bed next door. When I go for a walk with her, sometimes she is like, I want to walk down this road over here. That often leads to a store that sells DOGFOOD. That's, I have to spell it out. But often that's where her motivations are. But I'm like, no, actually, we need to go over here right now. And then what happens in our relationship? We're going to have to negotiate. We're going to have to come to some kind of negotiative rapport and deal. So in my relationship with my dog, I'm like, okay, we do one thing for you, and then we do one thing for me. Like, if we need to go over here and whatever, buy coffee and toilet paper at the store, then we'll also go over here and we'll do something that you like over here. It cannot always be one-sided. I use my dog as my example because I love her very much. I cannot always walk around hunting gophers and doing the things that she loves and enjoys and prioritizes, nor can I always just do what is good and right for me. And that would be, you know, whatever, going to a boring human task and then never doing anything that is fun or interesting or olfactorily oriented, smelling things. She loves to smell things, something that is fun for her to smell. In your love relationship with your husband or your wife, you have to have give and take. And you have to sometimes do things that aren't that fun or convenient for you. Like, I'm bored when my dog is hunting gophers. I am standing there like, wow, like this is really taking a long time. But for her, it is the most amazing thing and the best part of her day. And I do get joy from watching her be in joy, which is how we should celebrate the joys of others. But like she's she's bored when I go to a store for things for me, but we accommodate and love one another. And then in the larger aspect of the cosmos, which is what this really ends up being about, because the cosmos is you and God is you. You are also your own individuated self state here that is navigating a whole crowd of many other individuated gods. Big stuff. And so you have to mitigate your own desires for what you want to do and me with what other people want to do for themselves, and also the larger self state that is divine intelligence, that is God's self, or that is higher intelligence, and what God's self wants for you. And that is like always, that's always the bigger indelible, untarnished spiritual treasure, which is why it might be worth it for you to do something that is minorly inconvenient or a small amount of toil to be able to then get to the really big thing. That's what your real value system is about. So we'll talk a little bit more, but I'll just say one more, like on me as an example. People often ask, like, if you've got these manifestation powers, like, why don't you just manifest the giant, whatever, lavish lifestyle for you? And I'm like, you knew something? I want to manifest freedom for me beyond materialism. And also I am willing to do whatever it's been 21 years here for me as a walk-in. That's a relatively short amount of time to put in the concerted effort, not toil, but let's say concerted effort that might sometimes be uncomfortable or inconvenient, to be able to receive the much greater reward of a vastly improved fabric of time, space, and consciousness that is about equity, justice. You get what you give. Equality. I said equity, but I also mean equality. So equity, I don't know if I can distinguish these two words, but I think that you're getting it from me. Fairness in the way that resources are apportioned, helping and fixing the structure of the cosmos. I want that. I want that world. That's actually big. That's a big give. It's a big request. And it sometimes requires a big, I want to say a big dig, a lot of digging. Chris says, thanks for the wonderful lasagna today. I'm off to play bingo. Under the eye, I am. That's so beautiful. So you can play bingo. I have no problem with that. But I would just say, don't use Merkaba skills to try to get lucky number 7 or whatever it is. As actually I have prevented myself from doing a bunch of different earth activities that are like that, because I specifically do not want to misuse my powers in order to shape reality. So, usually like when we play a board game or whatever like that, I'm like I will be like the organizer organizing the game pieces instead of a competitor actually trying to make things happen, because I'm like, no, like actually I don't want to compete and try to use my powers to change the game, to win at a board game. I don't want to use my lasagna powers to win at a board game. I will organize the game pieces or something like that in order to do that. So I'm going to sign off on the recording part, and then I'm going to open the floor to questions, wonderment, and sharing, and things that will not be recorded with the rest of the class. Thank you so much to everybody who is able to be here during the recording, and much love and respect to people who are not able to be here during the actual recording. But please recognize there are some stories that discretion is the better part of valor, and some things are better shared, not necessarily recorded in public. So thank you very much for all of that. Thank you. And my profound appreciation to everybody who's in this class and everybody who tunes in. Thank you.